Microcasting for your city, Talkopolis. Emerging Artists is brought to you this week by Signorama. They did a great job for us here at Talkopolis, so give Greg a call at 615-678-6078. They make great signs, beautiful banners, awesome service at an affordable price. If you like our banner, get one for yourself. They work fast and they do amazing work. This is Emerging Artists Episode 3, recorded August 2nd, 2012. Our artist today, R&B singer Jay Whaley. Howdy folks, I'm Greta Gaines, your host here at Emerging Artist on Talkopolis. Our guest this week is Jay Whaley.
Hello, how are you?
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You have a new single that's getting ready to drop, is
That's
this right?
correct.
September 4th?
September 4th.
Okay.
Single entitled Settle Down.
Okay.
Produced by two-time Grammy Award winner Shannon Sanders.
Right.
Settle Down is going to be the next phase of my musical journey.
Right.
I put out something in 2009, which was a totally independent thing. You know,
Right.
I recorded it, wrote everything, produced everything, but this one is the next stage in
Right.
my musical development, so I'm very excited about it.
Let's talk about the first album a little bit, some of your influences, and go all the way back to the beginning. You grew up around gospel music, right?
Did.
Yeah.
My father's a pastor, so have to be in gospel music at that point, of course. Father was a pastor since before I was born, and so growing up in the church, you know, you sing in the choir and whatever, but once they found out, hey, I think he actually can sing for real. So it was more of, okay, let's bring him to the front. Let's give him a microphone. Let him do solos and let him do this and that and lead the choir. You know,
How old were
songs.
you when you started to take those front roles?
Man, I was probably 4 or 5 years old.
Oh, so it happened early.
Happened early. And then I started playing the drums for the church when I was 5 or 6.
But your feet didn't even like touch the...
Oh, they made adjustments, trust me.
Yeah.
They made adjustments. You know, once they find out that you're interested in something, they said, well, just pull up a little folding chair, move the stool out of the way and just give him a little folding chair and he can reach the toms, you know. So, I mean, I started playing when I was like 5 or 6 years old. But then I started just singing and just kept singing with the choir until I got a little older, you know, junior high school. I graduated into, I think my father left the first church he was at, and we moved to another church. And then there, I actually became more involved in directing the choir and writing songs, little praise and worship songs, still playing the drums, and moved into playing the keyboard for the choir and all of that. So just was a progressive movement through the church. Then I started writing my own stuff, and I was encouraged to just continue to write it and continue to do things and basically sing my own music, because the best thing about the church is the greatest platform to do your own stuff, because they're not allowed to boo in church. So if it's a song that they don't like, they can't boo you. They just say,
They can leave.
They can leave. They can say, oh, bless his heart, he's trying, you know. So that was the best platform for me to write some things and kind of see how it went over, and blessing that it went over well. So I was excited about that, and so that led me into writing for myself and writing some stuff to eventually record. And
Yeah, on your first album it says in your bio that the CD is sensual with subliminal messages without vulgarity. So, and there's a song on there, Don't Need No Drinks, or what's the song?
I Don't Need No Drinks.
I Don't Need No Drinks.
I Don't Need No Drinks is a song that I wrote. Funny part, after listening to a couple of songs on radio, one song was, if I take one more drink, I'll probably end up leaving with you.
Yeah.
Basically, if I get drunk enough, you're going to be the most gorgeous girl in this club. And we can leave together and go home and do whatever we feel like doing. And another song was, it was something about drinking.
Yeah.
But it was on the same lines of, hey, let's go get drunk and make love.
Right.
And I was like, well, I don't drink.
Yeah.
Never have drank. Don't foresee myself drinking. So I kind of wrote a song that said, hey, I don't need any drinks to know that you are the most beautiful woman in this club. I'm sober, and I still want you to come over, because I don't need any drinks to know I want to be with you. And so it was kind of the message of, you don't have to fall in love with the drunk guy at the club to know that you're beautiful. There are some guys out here that know that you're beautiful without any kind of intoxication behind it.
I bet women love that song.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. And especially if they listen to lyrics, they go, wow, that's kind of deep.
Yeah.
And so, and it's funny, they're like, well, you don't drink at all? Never? It's like, no, never.
Good for you.
Yeah.
It's poison. What about Prince as an influence? Were there any influences that you had or phases that you went through as a child where maybe your father or didn't approve?
No, because they stayed heavily involved in what I had going on. So they knew what kind of music I listened to. They knew what type of things I was doing outside of the house, especially with talent competitions, different things at the school, different organizations I was involved in. They made it a part of their schedule to be there so they can see and say, hey, well, he's singing an R&B song, but this R&B song has no cursing in it. It's not super sexual. It's a nice R&B song, so hey, let him sing it.
Right.
And
are there actual Christian undertones, though, and gospel undertones to the new album?
It has an old school soul feel, which brings back that some new contemporary gospel and some traditional gospel as far as some of the chordings, some of the arrangements, some of the harmonies. You can definitely hear it in there because I have a genre of music. I call it R&B soul because you have to put yourself into a genre. But if I was able to create my own genre, it would be more of a melting pot of blues, gospel, soul, and
what's
R&B.
neo-soul mean?
Neo-soul basically is new soul. It's a new spin on some old school stuff.
Got it.
And so that's kind of how I take my music. I take old concepts and give it a new arrangement. So, well, it has an old school feel, but it's a new way of doing it.
It's fresh.
Right, it's fresh. So it's something that everybody these days can relate to and go, wow, that's nice.
Right.
And not be so old school they kind of push away from it. So basically right there in the middle is where you can reach both audiences.
Yeah. And so are you heavily involved with the production and the arrangement and all that?
Yes, it's because I want to be involved. I'm not one of the guys that just want to be the singer. Hey, just show me where the mic is and I sing. I actually want to be involved in everything. I want to know about all the operations. I just don't want to show up and sing. Yeah. I want to be there to, man, that needs a nice little kick beat right there, or it needs a couple of chords right there. Okay, we throw a nice guitar riff right there, it'd be great. I mean, I want to be involved because the more involved you are, the more knowledge you have about your craft, and you want to be as knowledgeable as you can about the craft that you want to make your career. So.
Yeah. Do you find that Nashville, Tennessee is a good town for the kind of music that you are making?
It is, because whether people know it or not, there are hundreds of people here that do your genre of music, regardless of what it is. I mean, you can go from R&B to rock to country to
hip-hop.
Metal, hip-hop. There are hundreds of people here that are doing it. You just have to reach out to those different people. And, since I've been here, I moved here in 2006. Since I've been here, I've run into all kinds of people that, either play for somebody, perform locally, sing background for different people that you would never know that actually are involved in the music. And so, I mean, it's a great platform for it. And I probably run into several people that have traveled with different artists and can tell you stories and tell you, hey, you might want to avoid that, or hey, you might want to look into this. It's a great city for it because you have so many people you can reach out to and get some advice from.
Right, but as far as the audience goes, do you think that there is a receptive audience here in Nashville, or do you think the kind of your music that you're making, you should really get out and tour with it a little bit?
I probably need to get out and tour with it because the audience is kind of a select audience. Yeah. You have basically a limited following because you have a dedicated crowd of people that are going to support the different R&B, the different soul singers are in Nashville. And usually when I go to an R&B soul event, regardless of who's performing that night, you will see kind of a foundation of the same people at the shows, and versus seeing different people, different shows because they just love this artist. It's more of the genre of music itself has its own following. Yeah. So to branch out and to gain more fans, to gain more followers, to let your music touch more people, I would need to tour. And I've been branching out. I've actually moved over into Atlanta, doing a lot of things in Atlanta now.
That would be a great market for what you're doing. I'm thinking.
And they're very receptive of it. And I mean, I've been so busy in Atlanta now that it's crazy. Wow. Crazy. Yeah. Like I've been to Atlanta 3 or 4 times in the last month and a half.
Right. So what's the dream like for Jay Whaley 5 years from now? Or?
Well, my dream is to basically allow my music to reach people and they can relate. So kind of be the voice for the people that are listening to my music. They can actually say, wow, he's saying what I want to say, or he feels what I want to feel. And I'm kind of their voice. I'm kind of their I'm having a bad day, let me listen to Jay type. And I want to be able to let my music be platforms for me to do other stuff. I mean, I'm very, very giving. I love children.
Mentions your nonprofits. Tell us about your nonprofits that you're involved with.
I'm involved with Souls for Souls, which is an organization that takes gently used shoes and they distribute them to the less fortunate. Involved in March of Dimes. I sponsor a young gentleman named King Donovan, and he was actually the ambassador for March of Dimes this past year. And we had a lot of people out there walking on his behalf. We raised, I think, over $10,000 this year to donate to the March of Dimes. And of course, I was in the educational system, was a teacher, had different summer programs, in East Nashville, working with children. So I want to allow music to give me the revenue, the ability to be able to go to those organizations and say, hey, what do you need? Yeah. And when they say, hey, Jay, we just need $5,000. Hey, here's a check. Take care of it. Or kids come to you, hey, I need a calculator for school. Hey, I'm $100 away from being able to go to school this semester at TSU or something like that, and I'm go, hey, here you go, without having to go, wow, am I going to be able to pay my bills? I can be able to give and give freely and be able to help everybody I ever wanted to help out.
You're special in this business. Most people in this business are out for me, and how can I get more for me, and what do I need to get a new guitar or whatever else for me. So how do you rectify sometimes being a little different that way?
I mean, it's all about my upbringing. My father and my mother, great examples for that. But my father being a pastor, my mom heavily involved in church as well, and she's a college professor. And so they were always giving to everybody around them. So if you see those examples given to you, you can only follow in those footsteps.
And only by giving do you experience what you get back. People say it all the time, but until you live it, you don't really understand that it's not all the way selfless. Because I'm sure you get a lot.
Well, I get a lot, and I get a lot from some people that support, and it kind of basically my spirit probably rubs off on other people. Say, wow, he lets nothing bother him. He's always so giving. He gives his last to other people, and there to go, I need to help him out or something. Like, do you want me to take you to eat? You took me to eat these last 2 or 3 times. I'm like, well, I am hungry.
And you think that works?
I think it works. Yeah, it works. I know some people, they just go, nothing gets to you. I need to be more like that. And then they actually change a little bit. And you go, wow, I didn't know I was actually influential in your life, but I'm glad I was. So you never know whose example you are, basically. Yeah,
you're the second artist that I've had whose father was a preacher who's gone into music. Mm-hmm. Do you think there is a similarity between your father's profession and your profession? And if so, what?
Well, you have a lot of ministers' children that have to be heavily involved in the church because their father is the pastor, their mother is, a usher or on some kind of board, and you have no choice. Your dad says, hey, you're going to be Sunday school teacher, period. Hey, you're going to learn how to play this instrument. My father didn't force me to, but once I showed the interest, he was one of those guys that said, hey, you said you wanted to do it, there's no turning back. Yeah. I'm going to buy you this, and when I buy it, it's going to be put to great use, and you're going to learn, and you're going to do it. So it was like, I want to play drums. I'm buying you some drums. Play them. It's like, okay, I don't really know how to play. You're going to learn.
Yeah.
And so it was more of, and once you start doing it, it's not forced. So it was something that I fell in love with. Mm-hmm. And as you fall in love with, you get so much encouragement from the church and from the church family and from friends of the family and just traveling and doing it, that it gives you all the confidence in the world. And if you can sing in front of 200 people in a church, getting on the stage, singing in front of 100, 200, 300 people, it's basically the same.
It is great training. I guess what I'm referring to more is the message. And your father obviously is drawn to orate and to share with his congregation a message. And what I hear from you is that as a singer, you have the same drive.
Right, same drive. And that's why my music from that background has no vulgarities. I try to keep it as cross-platform, meaning, you can put the CD in with your children in the car and you don't have to turn it down, skip past a song, or say, hey kids, cover your ears for this one. Because I want everybody to be able to relate, to listen, something that you can put in your house and don't mind your children listening to it. And actually you can, with me being a younger artist or relating to an older crowd and a younger crowd, something that can bridge that gap. Like, hey, Mom, have you heard this Whaley guy? Yeah. They go, ooh, I kind of like that. Kind of got an old school feel. Or a mom goes, hey, have you listened to Jay Whaley? You need to listen to this instead of listening to some of his other stuff you listen to.
Yeah, I got to get my mom off the 2-pack.
Right.
Yeah. So it was a joke.
So she's West Coasting then, huh?
Well, I am really excited to hear the single,
I mean,
it's out on September 4th, and I love the positive message, and I love the message in a me universe of music that to hear someone say, you know, I'm gonna give and see what comes back, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Do you have any advice for somebody coming up? You know, about how to break in, because it's a tough competitive world.
It's very tough, and the best advice I can give is to never stop grinding. Yeah. Like it's a never-ending cycle. You have to work, and you have to be willing to take harsh criticism. You have to be able to take constructive criticism. You have to be able to take somebody saying, "Hey, I really don't want you here."
Or the void. You have to learn how to take getting no response. That's
or
hard
take
too.
the fact of, hey, we know that you're good. I've seen your stuff. I've seen your shows. I've listened to your music. It's great. But hey, we're not going to pay you to do none of this. Just bring you and your whole band. It's going to cost you, I don't know how much, but we don't care. We just want you to come. We'll let you sing. And it's kind of like, wow. Or you try to reach out to other people and they blatantly tell you no. You have to be able to have a hard exoskeleton to let nothing penetrate you on the inside, to where you keep your intrinsic motivation. Yeah. So you can keep pushing yourself. And, you know, and I mean, that's the best advice I can give. Just keep pushing until you get to where you want to be.
I feel better just being around you. I think maybe some motivational tapes are in your future.
It may be. I mean, that's why I said I really love children. I really love, you know, reaching out to the kids and motivational speaking, you know, doing appearances where I'm able to talk to an audience of young future entrepreneurs or young future musicians, future doctors, future lawyers that can understand that, hey, my dream is not stupid. Hey, my dream is obtainable, no matter where I came from, who my parents are, who my friends are, no matter none of that.
Or what I failed at already.
Or what I failed at and how I'm ostracized and criticized, whatever. Whatever is going on, you can achieve what you're trying to achieve. I mean, no matter what. So hopefully I'm able to kind of show that. I'm a preacher's kid. I do R&B. A lot of people look at me crazy. They go, how does your father feel about that? Ask him. He's sitting right over there. Or after the show, people say, well, how do your family feel about you doing R&B soul music? Some of your music has sexual subliminal messages. Well, ask my mother. She probably is playing it right now in the car. Yeah. You know, I mean, not because she's just a proud mom, because she's able to take that music and say, hey, it's not bad.
Good is good.
It's good. And it's not, you know, I don't have a parental advisory label on the front of my CD. I want to keep it that way. Yeah. You know, because I want the parents to be able to, you know, relate.
Right. So we can check out more stuff at jwhaleymusic.com.
jwhaleymusic.com.
Wait for the single September 4th.
Follow on Twitter.
Come back and see us when the single drops.
Definitely.
And it's been great having you here.
Enjoyed being here. I'm
Greta Gaines. You've been watching Emerging Artists right here at Talkopolis. Microcasting for your city. Talkopolis.